Ron Bonjean is a Republican communications strategist who was a top communications advisor for the Trump presidential transition team. He joins us now. Ron, thank you very much for joining us. We know that at this moment, it's a very precarious moment for the president and for Joe Biden. Indeed, it's a precarious moment for the country. That partly it's about legal strategy and partly it's about controlling the narrative. We saw that back in 2000 with Al Gore and the Democrats. Do you think what's going on here between the two camps is a battle to control the narrative with the hope of influencing the final outcome?
Oh, absolutely. I think the president wants to be the master of the narrative and he wants to have the last word. That's why we heard that speech last night to the country. The challenge that the president has right now is for his legal team to provide actual evidence of voter fraud. Across the country, many conservatives believe that the system is rigged, has been rigged against President Trump all along. The most recent example has been the large disparity in polling that happened between the polling before the election and the actual result. That they do have a leg to stand on. The challenge here is, if there is voter fraud, they have to show it. That's why Republicans are largely quiet on Capitol Hill and elsewhere, because they can't just say it's a fraudulent election. They need to have evidence, and that evidence has not really been provided.
What's the reaction from Republicans that you've been speaking to today of the president saying, if you count legal votes, I've won, or as he did on election night saying, frankly, we have already won, both of which are false statements? What are Republicans making of that kind of language?
So Senate Republican Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has really set the tone for Republicans to follow, which is that he believes every valid vote should be counted and every vote that is invalid should be discarded, and that we should be following the rule of law here. And I think that's what you're going to see Republicans largely follow, is those broad set of points. And we have to see what votes are fraudulent, what votes are fake, in order to, to really stand behind the president and say this is a rigged election. It's really impossible to do. I mean, you just lose your credibility if you don't. I mean, if you do stand behind him at this point.
And if those votes are not proven to be fraudulent, which there is little historical evidence that there is fraud on that kind of scale, would you expect Republican voices, senior Republican voices, to call on the president to concede this election if it turns out that Joe Biden has won fairly?
I think that we're going to give the president's legal team enough time to try to find those fraudulent votes. I mean,
how long do you think the Republicans will give the legal team?
In Bush versus Gore, it was until December 12th where the Supreme Court made the decision, the ultimate decision. We would probably give them a few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, for them to figure things out. That in today's world, it feels like a lifetime. But if there are recounts that are occurring, or there is improprieties that are found, I mean, this is the kind of environment where anything can happen. Where, I know that the White House is hoping to find, 10,000 ballots on a Philadelphia train track somewhere that they can claim that the system has been rigged. But, I would give it a couple of weeks before they start saying, hey, it's time to move on.
Okay, Ron Bonjean, thank you very much for joining us, Ron.
Thank you.